Hello, I'm Matt Call with Great Basin Team 1. We're here on the Camp Creek fire on the Mount Hood Forest. Today is August 30th, and this is your update. I'm going to back away from the map a little bit to give you some context. We have our updated acreage today. It's 1,969 acres. We did not get that infrared flight last night, which gives us the most accurate acreage, but we used some other methods with our smart people, and that put us about 1,969 acres. So we did have some growth. So you have some context. This is the Bull Run watershed. This is the 26 highway, and you've got the communities of Brightwood, Alder Creek, and Cherryville here on the south. And then up here, Corbett, where we were last night, so you kind of know the scale of the map. Each one of these squares is about 1 mile, so you can see the distance between where the fire's at and the 26 is about 4.5 to 5 miles. So you kind of have an idea of the scale of the fire. This is the perimeter of the fire where we have now, which if you've been watching, it hasn't grown a whole lot. So what we're doing today, we're continuing the plan that we've had the last couple of days, and we've had some good success. So we'll start here on the 12 road. We've got some hand crews and some engines working off this road, and they've improved that road, meaning they've widened it and taken some fuels down, and then they've created kind of some stopping points on the end. And in this in-between place where where it's green, we don't have any fire there. So we're trying to bring that fire up to the road. And what that looks like, and we'll try to put some images in here for you, is we're putting some fire on the ground. And we're doing that very controlled and methodically, because what we want to prevent is fire from getting in the trees. Once it gets in the trees, it can spot out over our control lines and cause more problems and grow more rapidly. We did have a spot a few days ago, if you remember, that was caused by this, not us burning, but the fire burning pretty aggressively. And it's out here, and it was about a 40 by 40 spot, and it was about 3/4 of a mile out. So the fire can spot a fair distance. That's all controlled, and we do have line all the way around that. So with the images that you'll see, the firefighters will go along here in those lower fuels, and they'll just really slowly put fire down, and that puts us in control of this fire, removes those fuels and removes that from the equation and prevents the fire from getting in the trees, and then allows us to then go in afterwards and mop it up and cool that edge off. Partway through the day yesterday, we had to stop that operation because the canopy opened up a little bit and the fuels were a little bit too wet, which we usually like, but in this case, it prevented us from burning at the pace that we wanted and getting the effects that we wanted. So with today, the weather's a little bit the same, but a little bit drier. So we're hoping we can continue that line and continue burning along that road and tie in with this, what we call an anchor point along this point right here. So that's kind of what's happening on the 12 road. In this west side here, we've established a couple of possible, what we're going to call control lines connecting the 12 road and the 1210 road. And we're looking at options of actually going what we call direct, which is right against the fire's edge. We have to do that really safely and methodically, so we have to go in and remove some hazard trees. But we think we have some good options to do that, and that might take a couple of days to establish a line in there. But that will potentially prevent more acreage spread in this corridor here from moving to the west. Once we get that accomplished, we're looking at the same possibility here. If we can't find good options, we'll move out to this road network. On the 14 road, we're just a couple of days behind what we're doing on the 12 road here. So what that means is removing fuel, so removing down to the low brush, and then removing some larger trees. So when we do go in here to control that fire and put a little bit of fire on the ground, we have a lot less fuels, and we remove the in-between fuels, what we call the ladder fuels, because the fire operates in a three-dimensional environment. We've also put hose lines and pumps along here so that as we do bring and introduce a little bit of fire next to the road, we can keep that cool and keep that at bay. And then we have hose lines in place, so once we're done with that firing operation, we can come and cool it off and mop it up. That's connected here, and I'm going to put a little line here on the map. What we do have that's already been here is there's a line right here. That's a hand line that we've had in for a couple of days. And we've plumbed all along this road and up that line. I should have done it in black. I'm going to get yelled at. That is a control line that we have established. So we'll potentially be putting a little bit of fire along that road in the days to come to get the same effects that we have right here. So what this does is this takes out of the equation the fire from moving to the west, which right now is our number one priority. What that does is helps protect not only the watershed, but the headworks facility and the chlorine treatment plant. which we really want to make sure that we don't impact that adversely. That also helps prevent any southern fire spread. So that's what we're doing up against the edge of the fire. Outside the fire perimeter, we've got folks and some overhead doing some other things. At the communications tower site, which is one of the closest assets that we have, we've got crews in there right now removing fuels so that if we get to the point where the fire comes in there, it doesn't adversely impact those communication towers. We've done some protection on this Snowtel, the weather site basically, so that's all protected and taken out of the equation. We have what we call a contingency group, and that individual is looking at bigger picture options out here in case our best case scenario doesn't work. We have second and third plans out here to help protect the power line corridor and the roads and then the communities. And our structure protection specialist, he's working on plans with the fire districts and law enforcement to come up with plans that in case this fire goes out of where we want it to stay, we have other plans in place to put lines in and help protect the communities. So when it comes to aircraft, we still have the scoopers attached to our fire. We have 3 large helicopters and a small helicopter. We're going to use those as much as is possible and as makes sense. In the past, we've flown them quite a bit when we had good clear air, when it was making sense. Yesterday, because of the overcast, we weren't able to fly them as much. We also have to make sure that the aircraft use makes sense, meaning it can penetrate the canopy. It's kind of like trying to drop water when you have a big umbrella. If we can't get the penetration through the canopy, it's not making a lot of sense. And now that the fire's on the ground, it just isn't penetrating through the trees because the fire's not in the trees. But we do still have those aircraft attached, and we will be using them as much as makes sense for what we have. So with the aircraft, the hand crews on the ground, the engines, we have a multi-layered approach, as well as the contingency operations outside. We feel pretty confident that our plan's going to work, but in case we run into some snags, we have layers upon layers of different plans. So we're pretty happy with the way things are going, and we look forward to the next couple days of this kind of weather and looking for more success. That'll be it for today.